Okay, this video is going to be part 2 of normalization rules, and in the first video I talked about creating a normalization rule and testing it, and in the second part I'm going to be talking about adding the rule to a normalization process. And so if you go under Resources, Open Metadata Editor, one of the things that you need to do is to select File, Options, and make sure that you have placement of new rules local checked, because if you have network selected under placement of new rules, you won't be able to add your rule to a normalization process in the metadata configuration. So we're going to click local and save, and just as a refresher, what I'm going to do is pull up a record here, the Artist's Garden, and you'll notice that this one has two 599 fields, and what we're trying to do is create a 970 field for both of these, and then once we move this information out of the two 599s to delete the 599 field. So in the first video I was trying to copy, but what we'll need to do is say move field 599 to 970, and then change field 599 to 970. So this is going to be our new rule, and I'm going to open this up in the metadata editor and click split screen. And so this is what we have before we run the rule, and then I'm going to show you what it'll look like after we run the rule. And then I'm going to go through how we can take this rule and add it to a normalization process and run this on a set, because we're going to have a lot of records to change at one time, and we don't want to do this one by one. So you can see I have a rule here called Gordon Move 599s, and we're going to click on Edit, and you see it'll display the rule that we just saw, and we can click Preview, and this is going to show you what this rule does. And so basically, just like I said, it takes these two 599 fields and puts them in 970, and then it deletes the 599. So the record on the right is what you see after the rule runs, and this is what the record looks like right now. You could run this rule on records one by one and click Apply Changes, but it's more effective if you go ahead and just create a normalization process and run this on a set. So to do that, we're going to go to our ALMA configuration menu, and under Resources Cataloging Metadata Configuration, you want to select Mark 21 Bibliographic, and then you want to select the Normalization Processes tab, and you want to click Add Process, and you want to give the process a name. And then we'll click on Next and Add Task, and you want to select Mark Drool Normalization, which is the second option there. Place a check mark there and click on Add and Close, and then click Next. And you'll get a page that's asking you for the Drool's file key. Basically, that's just the rule that we just created, which is the Gordon Move 599s. So you want to select that and then click on Save. And now if you are looking at the profile details page, you'll see that it added that normalization process to this page. And we can go back to Admin, and under Manage Sets, you'll see that I created a set with some 599 records that have 599 fields. So if we look at the members of the set, you see I have 5 items in here. all of these have 599 fields in them. So here's the Artist's Garden, and that's the one that had the two 599s but no 970. And this one has one 599 and no 970. If a record has a already has a 970, like the Memories of the Mansion, and I included this because I knew that this was one we did recently. So you see it has a 970 but no 599s, then nothing is going to happen after we run the normalization process. So that's why I included this record in the set. Because after we run the set, you'll see that nothing changes for record number 1, but the other 4 are going to be updated. So what we do is we go to Admin, Run Job, and you have to select your normalization process first, which is what we just did, and then click Next. And then you're going to select your set that contains the records that you want to edit, and that's our records with 599 field set. And you'll see that on this page it displays the process. You'll click, and it also tells you how many members the set contains. So you want to click on Next, and this will tell you that this process is going to be applied to this set, and to run the job you click on Submit. And of course you'll get a pop-up message reminding you that this job is going to affect all the members of the set and can't be reversed, and so we want to click on Confirm. And we'll be able to see the jobs that are currently running. So we have 2 jobs running right now. One of them is the one that we just did, and you see that the job is pending. At this point we're just waiting for the job to finish, and you can click on Refresh, and you'll see sometimes that, and for a set that doesn't have a lot of members, it won't take long. The job is already finished because it disappeared off the page, and you can go to History, and it'll tell you the name of the job that you just ran and whether it ran successfully. And so if you look at the report, you'll see that it processed all 5 records and it didn't skip any, and there weren't any errors. So if we go back to our set, you can open up your set and take a look at the members and just verify that the changes were made correctly. So for number 1, we're going to go to Edit Record and look at this in the MD editor, and you'll see that unfortunately, okay, it didn't change that one. That's not good. Let's look at Vincent van Gogh. Okay, actually, right, Vincent van Gogh actually did. It moved it to the 970. Let me go back to the Miro one. No, that was right. Yeah, it moved the 599 to 970, and there is no 599 field here. For the Artist's Garden, there should be 2 970s now. There's 2 970s and 1 971, and there's no 599s. And also the same thing for the physical activity book. I do notice that if you click on, I clicked on Edit for the other records. When I was in the MD editor, it was still showing up with the 599 local field that had just been removed. But what I didn't do is release the records from the MD editor bibliographic folder. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to go back to our set and open that up again. And yeah, what you should see now is that you're not seeing the 599 because I hadn't released the record. And then now you see that the changes are being displayed correctly in the empty editor. So you have to remember to release the records before you look at it again in the empty editor. And let's just take a look at one more. And that's exactly what happened. So here's the physical activity book, and it moved the 599 to the 970. And one of the reasons we were doing that is just to clean this up, and so that all of our local fields were in the 900 fields instead of having any in the 500s. And when you go to analytics, we have a report it's called local note search, and you would be able to run a report on 5 of the fields. We have actually 10 local note fields that we can use, but Alma is only letting us run a report on 5 of them, and that's why this report only has 967 through 971, because they won't let you run a report on more than 5 of your local note fields. And so we wanted to take the 599 and move it to 970, so we would be able to see some of that shelf list information that we've been entering. So for example, this report, if you wanted to see what books we had purchased from Midwest, then that's local parameter 4970 field. You'd enter Midwest in this field, and this would pull up a list of the items that we had purchased from Midwest, and you can see in the column that says 970, this is the notes that we entered into the 970 field. And so we enter the publisher there along with the price and the date that we received it. And so now that we move everything into the 970, we'll be able to run analytics reports on this information.